Alright guys, quick video on wind in your bullet. I'm going to try and keep this super sweet and simple. I already wrote predetermined notes just so I don't mess this up. Basically, I'm going to go over what happens at a distance to your bullet based off wind and what you need, how good of a wind collar you need to be per yard line. Right. So, for example, we'll start off with a 300 yard target, right? So if we're looking at center mass shot for a 300 yard target, hopefully this is visible, okay, it's going to take, or you're going to have a milled out target at 0.9 across. So this would be 0.9 in mils if you were to measure it in your scope or in your reticle. Okay, so it's going to take 0.45 left and right, divided by 2, half on left, half on right. Okay, so at 300 yards with a 308 175K pushing 2714, typical boat I use for everything because that's what my gun does. All right, you're going to need a 9-mile-an-hour wind, 9-mile-an-hour wind, either direction, to push your round 0.48 off target, right? So if you have 0.45, it takes 9-mile-an-hour wind before you miss your target. So at 300 yards, you only have to be accurate within 9 miles an hour to engage a target. That's a 10-inch wide target, and it's only going to push it 5 inches or less off of the target, right? So if we go to a 400 yard target, so we do shot 400 yards. Okay. Your mill reading is going to be from edge to edge. It's going to be 0.7, which means you have 0.35 on the left, 0.35 on the right. Okay. At 400 yards, you're going to need a 6-mile-an-hour wind to push your round 0.41 off target from center. So you need to be within 6-mile-an-hour wind collar at 400 to be able to hit a 10-inch plate. Obviously, saying perfect fundamentals, everything else goes great. The wind is the only factor that you're concerned about. Right? So we go to a 500 yard target. So 500 yard, center mass shot. Your left and right from edge to edge, it's going to be 0.55. So you have 0.375 on the left side and the right side in mils in your reticle of a 10-inch target, which means you're going to need at least 4 miles an hour. 4 miles an hour. Push your round 0.32 or more off target. Right? Oh, I'm sorry. Fuck that up. Math is bad. 275 left and right because you're drawing 0.55 by 2. So 4 mile an hour is going to push you 0.32 off the target. So you need, at 500 yards, you need to be able to call wind within 4 miles an hour to be effective. Okay? Sorry for the bad math. Alright. 600 yard target. Mill reading is going to be 0.45 from edge to edge, which means you've got 0.225 on the right side and on the left side. Right? So your full reading is 0.5 and your half is 0.225, which means at 600 yards you only need 3 mile an hour wind, 3 mph, left or right full value, to push you 0.26 mils from center off target. So you need to be better than 3 mile an hour at 600 yards to effectively engage a 10-inch plate. Alright, here at the end, just for shits and gigs, 700 yard target, edge to edge, we are getting a 0.4 mill reading, which means we have 0.2 left and 0.2 right of center to play with. Right, which means a 2 mile an hour wind call is going to push you 0.14 left or right of center. right? And at 3 miles an hour, just to give that more Clarification is going to push you 0.32. So realistically, you probably have a 2.2 mile an hour accuracy required to hit inside of a 10-inch plate, full value wind, at 700 yards. So again, basically I went over this just to kind of cover wind quick and easy to understand the importance of wind, right? As you get further out, less wind affects your bullet still greater than it does closer, because target's smaller, rounds are traveling farther. Right. The big thing to understand is that the closer your target is, more forgiving your target's going to be, regardless of size. So, if you want to be competitive or be effective at, I'd say the sweet spot for most people is going to be 500 yards. For most people, for what they're saying they want to shoot at, or what they think is long range. So you need to be at least within 4 mile an hour wind call to be effective at 500 yards on a 10-inch plate, right? Or a 10-inch vital zone if you're a hunter. For you guys that like to compete and want to be the next Paris champ and, you know, give Vallejo a run for his money, you want to be within 3 mile an hour wind call for a 10-inch plate at 600. And if you want to beat Phil Vallejo, then you need to be able to call wind within 2 miles an hour at 700. Obviously, lost my marker. You would want to be able to call, if you can call 2 mile an hour at 7, you should be able to call 2 mile an hour closer. But there's a quick down dirty wind brief on basically how effective you need to be at wind at given distances to be able to engage a 10-inch target. Again, just 10-inch target with a 308, 175 grain, pushing 2714 feet per second out of the muzzle. Obviously different bullet, completely different numbers, but you should probably know your bullet and know your numbers to know how effective you have to be and how forgiving your round is with wind at that given distance. I use 10-inch target as a baseline standard of what I want to be able to engage, because if I can hit a 10-inch target, obviously I can hit anything bigger, as long as my fundamentals are sound and I take a good shot and I can call it a good clean shot. All right, guys, that's it. Try to keep it super simple, sweet. Questions, drop them in the comments and I can clarify more, or you can message me directly and we can go more in depth. All right, guys, later.